This is coffee number 5. I'm your host, Lara Schmoisman. And here today in coffee number 5, we're so excited that we have Wendy O'Connor, Dr. Wendy O'Connor. She's joining us today. I invited you today to talk about something that to me is very interesting, how people change to be in relationships. Like, I know so many people that they feel like they cannot be themselves to be with someone else. And you brought up a subject that I think is fascinating. So I'm going to let you explain it.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for having me. You know, I adore you and all the work that you do. And you are just one strong woman. And it's just great to connect with you. And as you know, I'm very passionate about working with couples. And I do couples therapy, even with teenagers. So I know a lot of people will laugh and say, oh my gosh, teens. But, you know, I see couples from teens all the way to their 80s. And it's really interesting to see what people struggle with, along the different stages in life. So I love when I get teenagers because that is such a beautiful young age of identity. That's a stage where we're all figuring out who we are in this world, what our moral compass is, values, morals, ethics, character. And, you know, sometimes in teenagehood, you can be a little confused. And so it's normal to kind of feel like you know who you are and then kind of get a little confused. But to stay confused is a problem because then you kind of grow up and then it might set the pathway for other romantic relationships. So it's very important to know your identity. So I always think about teenagers, and a lot of girls will tell me, oh my gosh, my friend Susie, she went off with her boyfriend. She forgot us. She's not interested anymore. And so, you know, a lot of friends feel abandoned. Like, how could she just drop us and forget it? And then they'll break up and then Susie comes back to the group. And, you know, it's about self-esteem. It's about the attachment figures we had growing up. So if you had a mom who dated a lot and you saw men come and go, that might set the path a little bit for you to do the same thing or to do the opposite thing. So there's so many reasons why we kind of change. Some people don't change in relationships. They kind of are who they are, and they're that way through the whole life and each relationship. But when you get swept away with someone, it's important to kind of be aware of, you know, oh, okay, I acted this way with this person. And then this person, I was a little bit more angry. Another person, I was a little bit more sexual. Another person, I was a little bit more quiet. So based on who comes into our lives, it's going to tap different things in us for emotions, trust and intimacy.
I just got stuck with Susie and that she left her friends and then she came back. And also that creates another effect in her relationship with friends.
Yeah. If they're true friends, I think they will stay in her life understanding that she gets a little swept away. But that's not to say if somebody is not being a respectful, kind, caring friend, you have to take that either, you know. But we do get swept away in romantic relationships. And, you know, I've done it and I'm thinking possibly you have done it. But I think young adulthood is different because young adulthood is intimacy versus isolation. So that's, can I really get intimate with someone or am I isolating? Am I avoiding? Am I not sharing who I am? Maybe I don't know who I am. So I'm just going to hide and be depressed or anxious or avoidant. In adulthood, there's a stage called generativity versus stagnation. Mm-hmm. So, you know, are we generating or are we stagnant? So again, I always go back to identity. The more we know who we are, good self-esteem, good self-care, you know, it's okay if we didn't have good role models growing up, but then it's important to find some good role models, you know, who looks like they're in love, who looks like they know how to have a loving relationship.
And how about, what I was thinking is those people who, they don't have expectations for themselves, but they let their
partners' expectations or families' expectations, set who they want to be. And then one day they realize, I don't want to be this, or did this because that's what I thought it was right, and not because it was my thought. It was someone else that it put in my head. So how do we break those paths, those thoughts that they are not ours, basically?
So this is a very important part of a relationship, because I think you have to think about the stage of development. Like I said, the age that we are. Cultural awareness is very important. In different cultures, we can see different roles being played out. If I go into a relationship and my boyfriend is kind of the parental figure, you might have a dad-daughter dynamic going on. And then you might one day go, you know what? I don't want to be acting like his daughter. He kind of talks like I'm a little kid. I'm an adult woman, or maybe she's worked on herself, so she's feeling like she can assert herself more. And so then you would once get empowered, and that can be through friends, through groups, through a therapist, through a life coach, and notice the behavior that you don't like. And like I said, really get clear on what looks like the relationship that you're interested in, what looks like a fully cooked adult. Often I'll have a lot of single women want to get married, and they will pick what I call boys or guys, and they won't stop choosing boys, the bad boys, or the players, or the wounded. We gotta rescue them. Oh my gosh, but he's so cute, but he's so depressed, I can fix him. So somehow that was possibly a dynamic growing up with that person. And so we want to be able to heal in those areas so that we can get a healthy relationship where two fully cooked adults can be together.
And as an adult, can you renegotiate those relationships? I'm a big believer that you can talk and create new roles for any kind of relationship. But how would you say that we go about it? How would you do it? There are any steps? How is first understanding it? Then how do you act? How do you go? Okay, today I don't want to have this relationship anymore. How do you do that? I mean,
so that's it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, there's any process, any recommendation that you will give anyone who needs to change a relationship in couples? I believe couples are not only partners, they can be also parental figures or friendships.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, first you have to identify it, what's not working in my life, and you have to take responsibility. You have to own it. Instead of being in denial, you have to say, okay, this is not working for me. But the number one reason why a lot of people stay in bad relationships or they're not getting their needs met is for fear of the future. What will that look like? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. You'll always hear people say that, I'm so scared. And then when I say, what are you scared of? They'll say, I don't want to be alone. Well, you could be more alone in a bad relationship than you are in being single by yourself. So you have to be aware. You have to take responsibility. You have to take a deep breath and have a good support system. And like I said, there's groups, there's therapists, there's self-help books. But not all the time. I'm not, self-help books can be tricky. Sometimes they can help you, and sometimes they can snowball into more anxiety and, make you feel more vulnerable than you were before. But
it needs to be the right book for you at that right time.
Yeah. And, now, technology is amazing. Everything's online. Yep. So you can just Google, what are the things to empower you? There's so many wonderful articles and blogs and videos and YouTube out there. So, the information is there. But a lot of times,
how do you go? Sorry about that. How do you go about going to someone and say, this is not working for me? And can you negotiate that relationship without breaking the relationship? There is always a risk of breaking the relationship.
Yes, I do couples therapy all the time. And basically couples come to my office either to break up and have kind of a witness there, somebody supportive and a neutral person, or to really get down and dirty and roll up their sleeves and say, let's work on this and let's have a little bit of willingness. You don't have to have hope, because I can hold the hope until someone else can, but they have to be willing to work on it. And often one person will work on it and then the other person doesn't want to work on it. So we can't go anywhere with that. But if two people want to work on it, even if they're depressed, even if they're anxious, even if there's been infidelity, definitely you can work on it. And there are definitely, some positive, healthy things that you can do to make the relationship stronger, but you have to own it. You have to say, this is what I do and I want to change. And, I think the other thing is that people get into relationships with the capability of who I believe you can be. And when you do that, that is a red flag. A lot of times people say, oh, well, he's a law student, but he's going to be a famous lawyer one day. So I'm just going to stick in it. I'm going to just stay in this relationship. And then, what happens a lot of times, right? You hold their hand through school and then maybe they become very, successful, and, sometimes they've grown and you haven't grown. And so that's a little tricky. But, there's many different ways that people can work on relationships together and heal them.
Well, I have so many questions for you in this subject, but also I heard the other side of the story. Many people saying, I can do better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. And you know what, Laura? A lot of times you can do better. You can. It depends on your intention. It really is about short-term goals and long-term goals. And I know that sounds like fluffy therapy work, but honestly, if you can't see it, if you can't name it, you can't visualize it, then you're just going to get what I call chop suey. You're going to get a whole bunch of stuff that is just kind of whatever. Like, okay, I wanted someone tall, but I guess it doesn't matter. So then you're mad that you're with somebody short. If you want someone tall, whatever, it's not for me to judge. If that's one of your characteristics, go for it. Often I'll say, I'll have women who say, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And that's what I love. I love children. I love to work in the community. I want to be active in the schools. Great. But then don't date someone who's a mechanic who can't take you for anything but a slice of pizza. Then don't come back and be mad at them because you really want the fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills and fancy cars and diamonds and a stay-at-home mom, unless you are willing to work and make that stuff happen for yourself. So a lot of times if women say, this is what I want and I'm okay, I want to go for it, then you have to do the steps in order to get there. And some women say, I don't care. I'm the breadwinner and I have a lot of strong, incredible women that I see. And the husband stays at home. He raises the children. He enjoys gardening. He hangs out with the fellas, plays pool. So they're okay with it. It's just about good, healthy communication.
And at the end of the day, it's all about how you market yourself to go and get what you want.
Absolutely.
So we're going to a territory that I feel a lot more comfortable with, that is marketing. Let's talk about how you can market your mind, how you can market yourself to put yourself out there and go and get what you want. Because many times we dress a part that makes us feel better. We put, as a woman, in makeup, maybe high heels. You do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. But sometimes you are just pretending to be comfortable.
Right. And people pick up on that energy. So if you're not authentic inside, people will pick up that vibe. I know lots of people who have struggles with social anxiety. And so no matter where they go, no matter how great they look, no matter how many 90 dates they've been on or social interactions, you still, if you're white knuckling life and you're so nervous and you're so anxious and you're looking at the floor the whole time, that is going to be a vibration people are going to pick up, and it's a message, so it's important to kind of clear that up so you can go into the world and take a deep breath and give good eye contact. And I always tell people, pick up your head, look at the beautiful sky, just simple little things so that they feel better. And when you feel better, the whole world really resonates with you. At least I think so. And so whether you're wearing makeup or not, and I think you and I talked about this another time, I've got the fancy videos that I paid a lot of money for, and I can't read off the prompter to save my life. And then I've got the, hair up on a ponytail, no makeup, and I'm driving in a car with a plaid shirt. And those are more of the videos people like. And, we talked about that.
We did.
And yeah, but it's also you, like, I want to find the bright light in people. In Judaism, there's something in the beautiful synagogue in the Torah. It's called the Ner Tamid, and it's the bright light. And I just remember that all my whole life is about really helping people get that bright light. And if you don't have it, people shouldn't worry, because a lot of times they say, oh, well, I just am who I am. Okay, well, with that negative attitude, yes. But, you can, if you have willingness, you don't have to believe it, but if you have willingness to change, I, or any good professional or even loving friends can help you to find that bright light. A lot of times it can even be, I know this sounds silly, but an emotional support dog. You wouldn't believe how many animals bring on that incredible, beautiful, bright light that makes you feel better. And then you go into the world and your soul is filled. And then who notices? Other people. And they want to come up to you and say hello to you, or you want to ask them a question. So I love the whole singles world and dating world and couples world. It's workable. I think that's why I love it so much too. It's absolutely, it's something that is tangible, and you can work it and you can see results. And I think that's why I love it so much. It's so fiery and reactive, but it's workable.
Yeah, I kept thinking about the light and about how can you identify that you lost that light? How can you, because it's hard to accept. I don't have it there. I don't have it here. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to find it. Where do you start?
Well, again, it's what you just did, identifying it. A lot of times other people will identify it, family will identify it, friends will identify it. Pay attention to the people around you. If people are asking you all the time, are you okay? What's wrong? Why are you so sad? Did I do something wrong? If everybody's taking your temperature all the time, it's kind of a red flag, and then if you are not sure how you're feeling, if you have a big question mark in life, that's a good indicator. That's a red flag. Okay, it's not awful, but if you're lost, it's okay. There are people who can help you. But I think people get really scared. They just feel like that's their destiny. I don't have it, and so it can't be fixed. It can absolutely be healed and repaired. And often people will come into therapy for one issue, but having a good person really observe it, they'll identify it and they will pull it out in you. And here's another thing: if you're not getting your needs met, if you're just not happy in life, that's a red flag. And I'm not saying you don't have to be a trauma baby, because I grew up with a lot of trauma, and I work with tons of people who have trauma, and they feel like damaged goods, but the thing is when you're not feeling okay, or when you're not happy, or some people have just kind of been living a certain type of life, but not like enthusiastic, charismatic, excited, and they don't even know what that feels like until we start getting in there and clearing the clutter, and then helping them to really feel what joy feels like. What a beautiful, sunny day at the beach, or loving a beautiful puppy or a kitten.
Yeah. And also it's the great feeling after you're in the other side of feeling that you went through it and you came out better in the other side. And then there is something else that you can work on yourself to even get to a better level.
Yeah. And then once you get to that level, anything less is really not acceptable, And if, a lot of times women will say, oh, I date down. I date, instead of dating up, I date down. I mean, listen, we're all humans, and we are beautifully emotional and messy, and it's chaotic, and there's a lot going on in the world right now with, politics and technology, and there's a heaviness that is just so intense right now in the world. So it's important to take our own temperature and feel when we feel light and when we feel that heaviness, so that we can know what to do, which direction to go in. You don't need to know everything, but just, I feel bad, I want to feel good. I feel sad, I want to feel better. I feel really happy, and I want to be with other people who make me happy.
Yeah, and you just mentioned about acceptable. It's not acceptable that I do this. It's not acceptable that I let myself be like this, or I let myself date this kind of person. What about when we stop accepting ourselves with those behaviors? Do we stop accepting other people's behaviors towards us? It goes hand in hand, or it's gonna go? Is a different path?
Well, so when one person changes in the relationship, it's called homeostasis, and it sets off the homeostasis. So when one person changes, it's inevitable. Everybody else, it's like lighting a candle of different flames. It's like dominoes. When one person changes in the family or the relationship, other people they have to change, for better or for worse. If one person recovers from being an alcoholic or is in recovery and the other person isn't, that's going to be major conflict. Could they be okay? Sure, they could be okay. It's like negativity. It's like black or white, on and off. It can work, but it's going to be hard, So the healthy person is going to want a healthier lifestyle. The person who has gone to school and worked on personal development or education may want someone who is highly as educated as they are. Maybe not, but again, it's important, your happiness. Some people are fine. Somebody can be a neurosurgeon and be with, someone who works at a greeting card store, and they can be in love. It doesn't really matter. So what matters is happiness and love.
So great. I mean, it's so great to have you here, and I'm sure I'm going to have to call you back and to come back, because so many more questions are going to come back, and people after listening to this, this is fascinating to me. And thank you so much for coming today. And we're going to, of course, put all your information in the information of the podcast, so people can see all your lives and videos in Facebook, and you keep giving all these amazing tips.
Oh, well, thank you. And I just love sharing things that are helpful to people, whether it's couples, individuals, but, there's many layers. There's, especially in relationships like love, sex, money. I definitely would love to come back and talk a little bit about sex and money, because that is two top things that can make or break a loving relationship.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, let's make that a date. And next time, let's do it with coffee also.
Yes, thank you so much. Nice
okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lori.
It was so good to have you here today.
See you next time. Catch you on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.